All right, admitting folks, we're good to go.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're pleased to welcome the Dallas Arboretum to our series today. If you've been around Dallas for a while, you'll know it's one of the best known places in Dallas. And you may not know that it's one of the top arboretums in the world, just not in Texas. So it's wider than what you may think. The Dallas Arboretum offers a wide, popular array of annual events, educational programs for children and adults, and there's an emphasis on family-oriented activities. There are innovative garden rooms throughout the 66 acres as well, with beautiful sculptures and the timeless DeGolyer Estate. The Arboretum is also working on groundbreaking horticultural research conducted in their trial gardens. And this is one of the subjects of our program today. And autumn is in full swing at the Arboretum, and people are looking for ways to get outdoors in this picture-perfect weather. Those of you on the program, if you have not been to visit the Arboretum lately, this is the week. Put on your sunscreen and walking shoes and visit this amazing place to be captivated and inspired by the creative and stunning pumpkin and floral displays. It takes 80,000 pumpkins, squash, and gourds to create these outdoor views. And it'll put you in the mood for the holidays, plus give you a lot of ideas to incorporate in your own landscapes and gardens. Now, let me introduce our guest speakers. Nancy Nance and Jim Apkin join us from the Dallas Arboretum. Nancy Nance currently serves as co-director of Arboretum's Speakers Bureau, and Nancy represents the horticultural volunteers on the Arboretum's advisory board. She has been instrumental in programming, A Tasteful Place, and she was named one of the Volunteers of the Year in 2020. Jim Apkin has been a volunteer at the Arboretum for the last 12 years. He spent 50 years in the nursery and landscaping business and owned his own business for 37 years. Jim is specialized in selecting, planting, and maintaining plant materials. He continues to consult in the landscape business. He's a member of the Native Texas Prairie Association, the Texas Native Plant Society, and Texas Nursery and Landscape Association. His association with the Dallas Arboretum goes back to 1988 when he did consulting on the original Lay Garden. Their topic today is favorite plants at the Arboretum, but they'll be adding some information on what's currently behind the scenes as well. Help me welcome Nancy and Jim.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, thank you again for inviting us to spend some time with you today. Jim and I are long time, and we don't normally want to think about how many years we've been there, but they've all been great years. So we love sharing our experiences with others. So let's get started here. And basically what we're going to tell you about our program today, we're going to talk about, as Robert said, talk about the favorite plants of the Arboretum. These are some that our staff uses over and over again. If you were to visit, as Robert suggested, and we hope you can, visit us in the next couple of weeks, you'll be looking at lots of these plants, and they should hopefully give you some good ideas about some things that would look good in your own garden. After we get through some plants that you'll like a lot, then we're going to talk about we have lots of festivals, or two festivals, one of them in mid-swing, and that's our Arboretum, Autumn at the Arboretum celebration. And we're going to give you a bit of information about how all that comes together. And then we have another one coming up, which is one of our largest of the year. It's Holiday at the Arboretum, and we're everything's in the planning stages, and we're about ready to kick that off. So we're going to give you some information on that as well. So let's get started then. And Jim. All right, Jim, take it away.
Okay, we have 66 acres, which opened in 1984. The first part was the Goya estate, which was 44 acres, and then we obtained the Camp estate was 22. So we had 66 acres, and that's quite a large floral display. We display we trial and display 5,000 plants a year. We plant 450,000 bulbs. And we find and promote everything we can that we feel comfortable with, and we experiment and find out what things do and go with. Let me see now if I can. There we go. We partner with about 150 different growers. These are people who actually grow the plants, grow the seeds that you buy in the nurseries and wherever. We have 3,000 to 5,000. We trial 3,000 to 5,000 different plants annually. Let me see if I can get my picture away. I can't read the whole thing. Hold on just a second. Well, I can read enough. The data is collected. Yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry, but I can't read the thing. I'm gonna read part of it. Get me out of here. Okay, we're going to partner with, I already said that. The data collected of plants grown used to determine which perform best in our gardens. Frequently use winners from the previous trials in the gardens. And so things that you'll see and we'll talk about this morning are things that will be seen in the garden and some of the special plants that we do have. There we go. Now this is our trial garden, and this is a summertime display. We try plants in baskets in the ground, and if you look at the distance, in the distance, you'll see the pots, which are filled with blooming plants. To the left are our perennial plants, which we try for 2 years and see how they perform in Dallas. People have gotten into smaller homes, patios, and apartments, so we're going into a lot of containerized plants to see how they work out, and that we report all the time. Nancy, can you put me? There we go. We have a national vegetable trial. We test 75 entries a year, and we look at the growth habit, the disease resistance, days to maturity, harvest data, and taste testing. These are collected all the time during the period when we're trying them out, and we report that on a bi-weekly basis. Nancy, you're going to have to help me. Turn me. Can you control it, Nancy?
I'm sorry, can you see that?
Can you advance me?
Oh, yes.
Here's our vegetable trial. Of course, this is corn. And we do, as I said, 75 different ones per year. And we report on these, as I said, on all respects, taste or how well they do, and so on and so forth. Nancy? This is our container garden trials, and this is where you can see it at a distance earlier. If you want to ever check what we have reported in the past, DallasPlantTrials.org. You can search for historical data. Arboretum Award winners, All American Selections.org is the website for the All American selection, and you can go back to 1932. This is quite it's a good working with both the Arboretum and the growers and developers. Nancy? Now this one is called Azalea Kaleidoscope. This is a spring picture of it. It grows about 3 feet, 2.5, 3 feet tall, and about 3 foot wide. In spring, it's this colorful yellow-green color. Summer comes on, it turns with a nice, bright red color. And in the fall, it's evergreen, so in the fall, it goes back to its green, and then but it's quite a nice, colorful plant. Low maintenance, don't have to do much pruning, and it doesn't grow out of bounds, which is nice. Nancy? Now, marigolds. They're easy to grow annuals. They require full sun. Bloom spring to fall. Attracts butterflies. 50 species are available. The height is between 6 inches and 3 feet, depending on the species. The French ones are the small ones, and the African ones are the tall ones. But please note this, best to plant in the fall in our area, as these are susceptible to spider mites early in the year. So if you plant them in spring, they won't make it till fall, but if you plant in the fall, they'll make it till frost. Nancy? Now this is a tasteful place, and you can see the marigolds are used quite a bit here. They're quite nice. This is one of our newest gardens. This is one of Nancy's great projects that worked with this, and it's potager, which the Europeans use as both a vegetable garden and as an ornamental garden, and it changes throughout the year. Nancy? Now then, here's a monarch on the marigold, and these must probably the French marigolds. They, as I said, only late summer, early fall plants them, but they go until freeze or frost. Nancy? This is a hard one to come by, the color. Very few plants can be you find very few with a beautiful true blue. And this is one of them, Evolvulus beach bum blue. It's a dwarf morning glory, small flower. I guess about the size of a nickel, maybe a little bit larger. The color is fantastic. Grows 10 to 12 inches high and spreads 12 to 24 inches wide. It blooms from spring until fall, and you have to it's preferable to full sun. Won't bloom quite as much as when you put it in full sun, if you put it in shade, and it will not tolerate wet feet. Nancy? This is it in the bed. This is not a sharp photo, but it's a really nice plant, and it's easy to grow, and it has good color all summer long. Nancy? This is hibiscus mahogany splendor. When we think of hibiscus, we think of these big plate-sized, beautiful colored plants. Well, this one is only for foliage, but it's spectacular. It's that deep burgundy foliage with the maple-shaped leaves. It's drought and heat resistant, the heat doesn't bother it. It's the tender perennial, meaning one frost and you're out. Good in the landscape, both in the landscape and in containers, grows 30 to 60 inches high. And when you're looking at it, it's most probably a good 60 inches high. It colors best in full sun. In part shade, it will get some color, but not this. In full shade, it'll turn green. Nancy?
Oops, sorry.
There we go. It is used in the beds, and you can see this again is in a tasteful place, and it's used in the beds quite well. We have a weed in the middle of that bed, Nancy. Here we go.
This
is a potato vine, a sweet potato vine. If only your bright ideas. Sweet potato vines do make potatoes, but they taste like paper when you eat them. Not this these. They're vibrant in color selections because you get the green ones, you get the darker ones, the purple ones, They're compact, they thrive in heat. They will grow in either partial shade or full sun. They require water. They drink a lot. Good containers or hanging baskets because they fail. The height is 6 to 8 inches. The spread is 8 to 24. Nancy, there we go. That's you, Nancy. Start it over to you now.
All right, and this is just an example of using the Ipomea. You can't see it that much in this photo, but it's sort of almost like a cushion for the nuts. It's not probably the best example of it, but you can see this beautiful, gorgeous, sort of a chartreuse color, I guess is what that is. But if you have a spot in your garden and you're not quite sure what to fill it with, this is really a good thing to use. It goes with light, many different types of plants, different shades. It's I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing to have in your garden too. All right, zinnias. You're probably all familiar with this because I think these have been around for a long time. They come in a wide range of color, single flowers, double flowers, small flowers, large flowers, you name it. This particular, the Profusion series, their flowers are smaller, but as you can see from this photo, there's so many of them. I think the effect is just as large as using one of the larger varieties of zinnias. Butterflies love these. They do really well in our climate, drought, heat, and humidity. We've got plenty of all those three. This one will bloom from late spring to frost. It's a very mannerly little thing. The dense, compact mounds, about 18 inches tall, and they'll spread to 24 inches, so it can cover a lot of bed if you have a larger bed to fill, and it does prefer full sun. And this, again, is not the best picture, but this is outside of A Tasteful Place, again, our kitchen garden. And this is this time of year, I think from last year, actually. So we've got a Big Mac pumpkin sitting here, and the zinnias down below it, and they do a really nice job of adding some really bright color to that area and filling that bed very nicely. They're really good at that. This is another one that we're using a lot of this year. It's an ornamental millet called Jade Princess. And this one, again, has that chartreuse colored foliage, rich brown pollenless panicles, blooms late spring to fall, and it's looking really, really pretty at the Arboretum right now. It's really fairly small, 24 to 30 inches. It'll spread about 18 to 24 inches. It likes full to partial sun. It will not bloom for you like this in shade for sure. The coolest thing about it is the way it smells. We're working in the gardens, and the sun comes up and warms up, and then these just start, the fragrance is incredible. It just wants to make you to put your trowel down and go find some pancakes and maple syrup somewhere. It's really a cool plant. It's really good for containers and in the landscape itself. We had a group, of course, the Arboretum is right above White Rock Lake, so we do have a lot of birds passing through and they're finding their winter grounds. And we had a group of, I'm not quite sure even which birds they were. They were fairly small birds. They discovered the ornamental millet and they were all over it. They were climbing on it, hanging upside down. It was the funniest thing to watch. They must have all had a really good breakfast, and then they flew on over the lake. So, but it was cool. This is another example of using these in the landscape. This again is A Tasteful Place, and the fountain we have there in water feature. And you can see all of the ornamental millet kind of overlooking that water feature. And then right below it, we have some of those wonderful zinnias. So it's a really, I don't know, it makes a nice color, like lots of nice fall colors. Oops. All right, we have one last one to share with you. The Arboretum is really good about using some edible plants in the landscape. This one is a really cool, I love the name, Mustard Wasabini. I don't know who comes up with these names, but I like that one a lot. So it's very heavily frilled, ruffled leaves. It has a nice smell to it. It is edible, kind of a spicy sweet kind of flavor is probably the best way to describe it. And if you just need to fill some space in your winter garden, this is a perfect thing to do. You buy this in the vegetable section of your local nursery, and they're in the edible section. So it's like $2 for a small plant, which is a lot cheaper than some of our ornamental plants will cost you. But it's really just kind of a fun thing to play with. Here's the same thing with the wasabini, and I think this is a pak choi with the very purple, and those two colors look really nice. And this is sort of a shallow little narrow bed. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to landscape because not a lot will fit here, but these little veggies do really well. All right, so let's talk about autumn at the Arboretum now. This has been going on for, I think this is our third week. We've had some good crowds, and just I think people really having fun with our pumpkin village. And it's actually 90,000 pumpkin squash and gourds. And we have planted about 150,000 fall blooming plants. Many of those we've been talking about this morning. And then the Arboretum also has a lot of deciduous trees, which are going into full color right now, like our Japanese maples and ginkgos. And it's just really a pretty time to be in the garden. And this, I have to tell you a little bit about these pumpkins. They come from Floydada, Texas, which is kind of out toward West Texas, not too far from Lubbock. And there's a family there, the Piles, that it's in the third generation of the Pile family is currently taking care of this business. And if you see pumpkins anywhere, for any retail outlet, nurseries, you name it, they probably came from Floydada. It seems to be they're the pumpkin capital. Some say USA and some say the entire world. So anyway, they do grow a lot of pumpkins. And this container you're looking at, these are shipped from them depending on when they're able to get in the fields and harvest them. And that depends on the weather primarily. If it's been sort of a warm early fall, not too much rain, they can get in and harvest them fairly quickly. They're put into these large containers. And this is about, it's hard to guess if I'm looking at this, this is about 4 foot tall and about 6 foot long. So depending on the type of pumpkins, you can fit lots of pumpkins in there. This is one of our most favorite pumpkins. They come in all size, shape, and colors. This guy is called the Big Mac. The kids love them because they like to jump on them and sit on them. They're, multiple uses. They are large in size, about 18 to 20 inches in diameter, which doesn't sound that big, but these guys must have very dense seeds and flesh inside. They weigh anywhere from 50 to 200 pounds. It takes 2 volunteers to lift one of these, and it takes, if anything above like the 50 to 60 pound range, then they have a small little lift things that can do it automatically. I'm sorry, my thing's going back and forth here. But they're small forklifts that they move them around. We get a lot of them, so it takes a while to get these where we would like them to be. And they're one thing that's very common. They have a very rough flesh, which you can't, or no, the outside of it's very rough. And this flat area you can see is where the pumpkin grew and rested on the ground. So they do have a very unique shape to them. They're always kind of slightly flattened or kind of slumped looking, but they're very colorful. So it is definitely one of our favorite pumpkins to use. And this is just an example. We get pumpkins of all colors, shapes, sizes, you name it. There is also some gourds thrown in this particular pile of pumpkins. One thing to me that's so amazing is some of these do not have a, they're not very heavy. They seem to be almost empty inside. There are others, and I think these long, kind of yellow looking ones, those are particularly, we like to use them because they're large. They're typically between 2 and 3 feet long. They come in several different colors, and these guys weigh anywhere from 30 to 35 pounds. So I'm not quite sure what they taste like, but it seems like they should be able to feed lots of people. And this is a pumpkin village from an earlier year. We also have lots of hay bales. We have a hay bale maze for the kids. We have just all sorts of fun things. People like to just come in and play with the pumpkins and rearrange them and make their own designs, which, that's all kind of fun. This time of year too, you have lots of the kiddos coming in and their Halloween costumes, and it's just a fun time to be out there in the pumpkin patch. And then this is one of our gardens at the Arboretum. And it's really a beautiful place to be this particular time of year. This is called the Genesis Garden. It has a beautiful pond here. Typically there are water lilies in there, and there are also lots of goldfish in there. So it's just it's kind of ringed by benches and places you can sit down. So it's a very popular place for people to sit down and visit. There's some Japanese maples, which you can see in there. And there's also some dawn redwoods, which you don't see too many of those in Dallas, I don't think. But anyway, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be. And now, after all that, how can we possibly beat that? What's coming up next? We've got Holiday at the Arboretum, and this starts on the 9th of November. We like the holidays so much that we like to start them bright and early, and they last through New Year. We have gazebos filled with life-size animals, ducks, people, a little bit of everything. And those have been with us several years, but they refresh them a little bit every year. We have a European style Christmas village, which is also lots and lots of fun. There's something new this year, which is a 50-foot dazzling musical tree, which we haven't seen that yet, but that sounds like it's going to be lots of fun. We have about 1 million lights. I think it's more than 1 million, 1.2 million, I think is the latest, strung all over the Arboretum. And it's really just a sight to see. So another rumor that's making the rounds is that Santa will be a very frequent visitor this year. So if you have some kids or anyone in your office who likes to, or in your family likes to visit Santa, this is a perfect place to be. We do require reservations for these, separate from your Arboretum reservations. So please make your reservations early to be sure you can get in when you might have guests visiting you. And, get into the holiday spirit. It's really a fun thing. This is one of the 12 Days of Christmas. And of course, there's 12 versions of these for the song. A beloved song. This is the Christmas Village, and these are all little things. It's kind of like a European type of village. So there's some that are the candy store and the florist and the drugstore and whatever. And each one of them has a little. They normally hand things away. There's lots of holiday decorations everywhere, as you can see. There are some special places set aside specifically for pictures. So that's another nice thing to do at holidays for your family. Look at them every year and see how much everyone's changed. And I have to tell you, the daytime is really a very cool time to come because you can see everything and visit any part of the Arboretum. But I have to tell you, this at night is absolutely astonishing. It truly is just a wonderland. So I hope that you all will have time to come and visit us this year. And I think that's the end of our presentation. So what questions do you have for us?
Hello. So I'm going to read some of the questions that we have in the chat. Robert asked, who do you report the trail results to, Texas A&M or others?
I'm sorry, say that again, the very end of it.
To who do you report the trail results? Is it to Texas A&M or others?
You want to take that one, Jim?
Yeah, we report Texas A&M. Then there's a place that does experimental work in East Texas that we work with. Then we work with the growers a lot. and we work with all the many of the growers in the Dallas area, letting them giving them information that tells what we have found in our trials. And growers will have it, and once you see it out at our place, it may take next year before it becomes available, maybe 2 years. But if you watch it, a lot of things do come on the market, and they use our information.
Mhm. It's kind of, that's one thing I like volunteering at the Arboretum, because you get to see, things that aren't out on the market yet. So you can see a lot of trends in the gardening world. And if you're a real plant nerd like I am, that is really super cool. And the other great thing about it is all of our gardens are open. There are many different, most universities have trial gardens, a number of places do, but because they're trials, they're not on public display. And the nice thing with ours, we have actually 3 different trial gardens. So they're open. You can go through those and walk through them anytime that you like.
All right, thank you. The next question I have is millet perennial?
And again, it's millet.
All right.
Millet perennial, no. It's an
And,
yes.
somebody's asking about the hours of operation, and you can find those on the Dallas Arboretum website, correct?
Yes, most definitely. And they do change sometimes. Typically, non-festival time of year, the Arboretum opens at 9 and closes at 5. But definitely for the holiday celebration, we have lots of nights that are available. And I think on weekend nights now, the Arboretum will be open until 10 p.m. So very, very extended hours during those the celebration type periods for the festivals.
All right. How long did it take to set up the pumpkin village, and do the pumpkins have to be changed out during the event?
Oh, those are good questions. Typically, if weather is in our favor, the pumpkins are harvested and sent out right after Labor Day. So they start arriving in Dallas late that week or early the following week. They come on flatbed trailers, and oh my gosh, it is, we get multiples every day. And as they come in, we unpack them and start creating the pumpkin villages is the very first thing that goes in. And then we do stacks of pumpkins. There's a theme every year. This year it's Bugtopia. So we have very large caterpillars, ants, butterflies. I mean, you name it. We've got some really, really cute things this year. And the pumpkins, obviously they're all vegetables. So as long as the weather stays good, it doesn't get too hot and it doesn't rain a lot, they really last throughout the weeks of it's about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks of the duration of the festival. Sometimes, and I think this happened 3 years ago, it was very hot and very rainy, and it was very messy. The entire time we had Pumpkin Village up. Pumpkins just do not do well with a lot of heat and a lot of water. So this year, I think we're going to be very fortunate. In fact, they're thinking about maybe even extending it a little past October, because it's kind of a cool thing for people to see. But so it really depends. A long answer to your simple question. Basically, it depends upon the weather. It's exactly what it is. Of course, we do have lots of critters at the Arboretum. We have a lot of squirrels. They really like pumpkins too, almost as much as we do. We have a lot of raccoons that are there. And they also seem to like them. We've seen the armadillos early in the morning chewing on them. So they're quite popular with our little 4-legged critters. So again, it depends on how hungry they are. And one thing, another little fun fact about a pumpkin, as long as the skin is not breached and still looks really nice and good, the pumpkin's going to last for a long time. But let's say a squirrel has come and attacked a pumpkin and made a nice big juicy hole in it, that pumpkin's pretty much done. So we always do keep some back so that That's volunteer and staff, probably one of our least favorite chores to do. Someone every morning makes the rounds of the Pumpkin Village and picks up all the refuse from the night before. So it's a kind of a messy thing, can be kind of a smelly thing, but of course, that's why we want to go in and do some cleanup before our guests arrive. But it's really fun. Some of the gourds, they can last a very long time. The squash can last a long time. The pumpkins are probably those that have the least lifespan once you put them out in the gardens, though.
And then as a follow-up question, what happens to the pumpkins when the event ends?
That's another good question. We have, first of all, the gourds. We have a very good relationship with the Gourd Society of Dallas. And they're people who take the gourds and polish them and paint them and make some incredible works of art out of them. So they get first crack at all of those things, and they take them and make beautiful pieces of art. And we typically sell those in our gift shop, and so we get part of that. So that kind of works out well, and they make money. So the gourds are the first to go. Believe it or not, some people will come in and get the squash. If they still look good, apparently they might still be edible, again, depending on the critters and how the weather's been to us. The pumpkins are, the zoo comes in, as long as they're in pretty good shape, the zoo comes in and picks up some pumpkins and different things for the animals, because apparently they do like to play with them. We have several community colleges and different groups that we work with who have community gardens. So they come and get some of the leftover stuff as well to put in their compost piles. So they're well, I think they serve a really good number of purposes to, first of all, that all of our guests appreciate them so much and have such fun with them. And then at the end of their lifespan, they go on to serve a good purpose there as well.
There was a question, Nancy, about masking at the Arboretum. I saw it on the screen here. Would you reply to that? Can you hear me?
Yes, the question was, what is the masking policy this year at the Arboretum?
And the policy is, at this point, we're part of the city of Dallas, so we follow their guidelines. And currently, we do require masks for indoor activities. But as you're out in the garden, that's kind of up to you if you'd like to wear a mask or not.
Oh, a great question. When is the best time of day to go? When are there less of a crowd?
Typically first thing in the morning. And one nice advantage, if you're a member of the Arboretum, we have members hours during many months of the year, and this is one of them. So the garden opens at 7 a.m. now, so you can get in bright and early and see everything. And except for our normal daily walkers, there's hardly anyone there. There's normally another break. There's a lot of people come in the door just as it's opening, about between 9 to 11. It's a pretty busy time. All the little the younger visitors that we have, typically by 11, are ready to go home and have their nap. So we have sort of a clearing out about 11, and from about 11 to 1 is a slower time period. And then from about 1 to 3 is busy again. And then 3 to 5 tends to be not as busy. We require reservations now, which again is part of that whole COVID thing. But you do make your reservations before you arrive. So, and that does a couple of things. It does limits, be sure that we're not getting a whole lot of people into the Arboretum at the same time. So it kind of spreads out the visits just a bit. I don't know, Saturday and Sundays tend to be our busiest days of the week. And I think Monday can sometimes be a slow day, and Fridays can sometimes be a slow day. There are lots of, if you go on the Arboretum's website, there are activities every day for adults, for children. It goes on forever. So kind of eyeball that calendar, and they have the easiest way to find is just to pick the day that you're interested in going, click on that date of the calendar and just see what's going on. There's some things that do tend to draw very large crowds, and then there are others that are, more of a one-to-one type of experience, and it's not, those are probably never quite as crowded.
All right, thank you, Nancy. I have another question. So beautiful displays and gardens at the Arboretum. Are there classes offered at the Arboretum to teach how to create the beautiful balanced designs in these gardens?
I'm sorry, I heard about half of that. Would you mind repeating it?
Are there classes offered at the Arboretum to teach how to create the beautiful balanced designs in the gardens?
Yes. A Tasteful Places, Jim pointed out, is our new kitchen garden. And part of that garden is this fantastic pavilion, which is perfect for classes. So we do have classes on horticulture there. We've got lots of classes, culinary based type things. You name it, it's there. And it's again on that really good calendar. So just go into the Arboretum's website, and it's actually on the very first page is like a little calendar mark, and click on that and you'll see what's happening. But I don't think we've ever, Jim and I have both been there for a long time. I don't think we have ever had as many activities as we have now. So if you're interested in culinary more so than you are in horticulture, we won't get our feelings hurt, we promise. But check out, there's it's amazing. There are a lot of family centered things now. We have family centered culinary classes, and those are just lots of fun to take your kids to. I don't know, Jim, there's just there's entertainment, there are more bands than we've ever had before. It's just, we can pretty much guarantee you're going to find lots of things that you like there, lots of things that you're interested in.
Awesome, always lots of things going on at the Arboretum. Okay, I have a question from Yvonne. I was at the Arboretum last week and I saw a plant called Castor Bean Beneri. The leaves look like okra leaves, but they had red fuzzy small balls on it. It was in the trial gardens area. Do those do well here? Where do you buy these at? And then do they have vegetables that you can eat? So a bit of a specific couple of questions.
May I answer part of that? Binary, the last part of the name is the developer or grower, hybridizer. The plant itself is one of the castor beans. It does have an okra-like leaf, and it has a round, sticky seed ball. That's not planted where people are basically children get to them. They're toxic. So you want to be sure you get them away from where they are. And if you'll notice that they are breeding, they're normally in the middle of a bed.
I hope that answers part of your question, Yvonne. Do we have any other questions for our presenters today?
The castor bean is poisonous to dogs.
Mm.
All right, I think it does. Oh, Athena says they can't wait to go to the Arboretum. I agree. It's always beautiful this time of year.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And we hope that you all can come visit. It's just really a special time at the Arboretum because there's so many things going on, and it just, I don't know, everyone's in such a good mood, and it's just like a little party all the time. And there are a lot of new activities. So please do take a moment before you head out, or you can find it on your phone as well, of course, but just check out all the activities that you might be interested in. And you can, it's kind of like the state fair, how you have to plan your activities. The Arboretum is not quite to that stage yet, but check in to see which classes you might like to attend, or they have a lot of different exhibits. If you have children with you, they're just incredible things for the children. We didn't mention the children's garden in our talk today, but They have more things going on there than ever before as well. They also have a calendar. So check that out. And don't feel like you must have a child with you when you go in that garden. It's an amazing garden. There's a lot of incredibly nice plants over there. There are a lot of native plants over there. So you certainly, just as a group of adults, can go in the children's garden and you still enjoy everything there. Still lots of fun.
Oh, thanks for letting us know, Nancy. I've got another question. How do I know which mums can grow in my yard versus indoors only? Sometimes I see mums on clearance at the grocery store, but I don't know if they will live outside.
I'll take that one. Normally those, normally those are grown specifically for indoor use because they are hybridized so that they can control them both by chemical and by a natural height. And they basically, as tight as you see those are basically produced in greenhouses for inside use. Mums do very well out in Dallas. You have a small one, you have a large selection of mums. And so most of them will do well. You need to do, they have a few tricks like pinching off the new growth and making them branch out. They have their own requirements, but they do well in Dallas. Because we have had a chrysanthemum show in which the chrysanthemums were the size of a saucer. And quite usually in the fall when they bloom. And these, I think, came out of, I believe most of them come out of the yard.
Thank you, Jim. All right, do we have any other questions? Feel free to type them in the chat. I will plug the Dallas Public Library Seed Library if you feel inspired to grow, to maybe plant some fall seeds or some fall veggies. We have the main seed library is at the Central Library in downtown Dallas, but we also have some small seed libraries like at I believe at Lakewood and MLK. But if you send us an email to the seed library email, which I'll put in the chat, we can send packets of seeds to whatever branch is nearest, and you can pick them up there. I believe we do have some marigolds and zinnias in the seed library currently, and tons of leafy greens, perfect for fall planting. Seed library.
May I add a comment?
Of course.
People, we have evergreen grass. Well, grass is never brown. People say, how do you do that? Well, we have a winter grass and a summer grass. And it never we never let it catch us with brown grass. We always go in with the seed early on and the grass is green. And you go back in the springtime, the grass is green. There's no transition at all. And the Arboretum, we've talked about a lot of things, but the Arboretum has a fantastic collection of plants, especially the children's garden. So if you get a chance, come and see us.
All right. That's a great little insider tip about the Arboretum. I'm sure many people maybe people haven't even thought about the fact that the grass is literally always green there. I did get a question about donating to the seed library. You can donate, and I'm going to put the link to our website so that you can look at our donation policies. But if nobody else has any questions or any comments or anything else for today, I think that might be the end of today's program.
All right. Thank you so much for having us with you today. We really enjoyed it.
All righty. Thank you so much to the Dallas Arboretum, to our presenters today, Nancy and Jim, to Robert from OEQS. And alrighty, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Goodbye.